Hey, good morning, Spurs fans. This is Harry from Hasper TV. So yeah, I'm just recording this. This is pre-recorded, just before anyone notices this. I'm just some thoughts about Antonio Conte and just how he is as a manager compared to other managers, because I do think these points kind of need to be raised, and this is just my take on things. And obviously, we wish Conte well. He's obviously just had surgery and he's recovering over in Italy. And yeah, I just some thoughts on just Conte as a manager and how he compares to other previous Spurs managers and why I think this is very important. So let's go back all the way to Martin Jol. Now Martin Jol was actually appointed because obviously Santini left or resigned or something like that. But anyways, look at Martin Jol and look at the players that he had at his disposal. Obviously back then 4-4-2 was like a normal thing. Apart from Jose Mourinho's Chelsea, the 4-3-3 wasn't used as much. And I'll explain later on why this sort of stuff's important that I bring up. But Martin Jol was given players like Timo Tainio on a free, Ricardo Rocha. He had players like Jamie O'Hara. Yeah, Jamie O'Hara I think played a bit under him. Matthew Etherington, Andy Reid, Michael Dawson, Ledley King, Stalteri, players like that. And obviously, he almost finished fourth, right? And then we signed Berbatov and Carrick left, and we tried to finish fourth again, obviously, but we're very far away. And obviously, Ramos took charge again over him, and we won the League Cup. But if you look back at Martin Jol, you could, so for example, a player like Timo Tainio. Timo Tainio was actually a central midfielder, and Martin Jol used him as a left-sided player, and that was because Martin Jol actually wanted a left-sided player in the midfield four. He wanted a left winger, and Martin Petrov at the time was the player he really liked. Now again, this video is not really directed at like the owners as such or Levy as such, but to me, that's a square peg in a round hole. Timo Tiny was never a left winger. It just he kind of adapted to that position because Joel had to put him there. Now this is the difference I think between again the Conte and other managers. Martin Joel number one. Now we look at someone like Harry Redknapp. Now Harry Redknapp, I think, was kind of like someone who he would play a 4-4-2 regardless, or 4-5-1 regardless of who he had. Now, obviously, we had Modric, Van der Vaart later on, Lennon, Bale, so playing two wingers is kind of like a simple thing. But if you notice in, what was it? Harry Redknapp's early reign, he played Modric on the left for a while as well. And again, he played other players out of position. I think Genius even had a spell on the right under him, which he had a spell on the right under Martin Joel as well, Jermaine Genius, due to lack of squad depth. But these two managers, they're putting square pegs in round holes. And again, Conte doesn't do that, and I'll elaborate on this further on. Now we go on to after Redknapp, we had obviously AVB for a while. AVB again, he asked for Moutinho, he got Dempsey. Now Dempsey was never a number 10, so he did. AVB couldn't play Moutinho in the number 10 to cover the loss of Modric and Van der Vaart, who were sold that window. And AVB actually came in as one of the early managers for like high pressing football. Or that was his idea anyway. And obviously we had Bale, who was like amazing. He had his best season under AVB at Spurs. Probably his best season in his career, arguably. So full credits to AVB. We had midfielders like Holtby, Huddleston, other players like that. And AVB actually played a 4-3-3 in Porto and tried to obviously implement that at Chelsea before he came. Now at Spurs, he played like a 4-4-1-1 or even a 4-5-1. Adebayor kind of played on his own, or Defoe played on his own, and Bale would kind of play, or Dempsey would kind of play in the 10 behind. And okay, it did work, but arguably AVB couldn't fulfill his vision or the formation that he ideally wants to play, a 4-3-3. Near the end of the season, he kind of tried it, playing Dempsey on the left, and I think Bale on the right, and Defoe in the middle, or Adebayor, whoever it was in the middle. And he even used Dempsey as a false nine for a while because we had so many injuries and no squad depth. Now, again, AVB adapted to what he had. He used Bale obviously as a second striker, which isn't normally his use of players. He wants to play a 4-3-3, and we carry on. Obviously, Sherwood took charge. I'm not going to talk about Sherwood because he had like a mishmash of players. He played Sigurdsson in the central midfield, Charlie in central midfield. He tried like everything. And again, he was sort of adapted to what he had as well, you could argue. Now we've gone to Pochettino. Pochettino, he's probably one of the managers that most people disagree with me about, but he kind of adapted to what he had too. Now, initially, obviously, he wanted again to play a high pressing style, and he didn't have the players for it. Difference is, we shifted 12 players or 15 players that window in the second season, and we got in some players to fit that system. We said Toby and Jan, Walker and Rose, but obviously the first 2 years under Poch, people will say it was very good, especially second season and third season. So not the first season, the second and third season will say very good. Now with the loss of Walker, Poch had to do something different. So obviously Sissoko and Nkudu arrived the window before, right? And actually Sissoko and Nkudu actually played in the Champions League. It's crazy as enough they played in the Champions League against Monaco. And that's again a difference between Conte and another manager, because Conte would never play as a club signing, and then we've seen that with Jed Spence. Now Pochettino did that, and he made Sissoko work. To his credit, he made Sissoko a squad player. To me, Sissoko was never a starter, but anyway, but he made him work. And that's relatable to Conte for me because of Jed Spence. Now, if we look at the way Pochettino wanted to play, though, when Walker was sold, they brought in Davinson Sanchez, and he adapted to what he had again. Instead of sticking to 4-2-3-1, Pochettino changed to a 3-4-2-1. He put Trippier or Aurier, because Aurier was signed as a replacement, and obviously Rose, or I think even Davies had a spell on the left, as wing backs. And then he played obviously Sanchez in the defence with Sanchez, Toby and Jan, or even Dyer had a spell there. Of course, Dyer had a spell in midfield, but he adapted to a 3-4-2-1 due to the loss of Walker, so he wasn't as stubborn. Obviously, later and later down the line, even Pochettino had to change his style. Pochettino played a high pressing style because he didn't have the squad depth or really the players anymore to play that style. He changed to playing a more reserved style. Okay, Spurs were still getting results, but it wasn't the high pressing style in the second and third season of Pochettino. Now, as we've seen on Conte, he won't change his style. Okay, obviously we had Mourinho after. Yeah, we had Mourinho after Pochettino. Now Mourinho tried just about everything. He even tried Rodon. He tried a 3 at the back. He tried a 4 at the back. He tried a 4-5-1. He played 4 centre halves in a 4 away to Burnley, I remember. In the end he dropped Dyer after trying him in defence. Also had mixed results under Mourinho. Like I say, I think even Mourinho tried a 4-3-3 for a while. He tried a 4-2-3-1. He tried a 3-5-2, I think, even for a spell, or 3-4-3, 3-5-2, something like that. Like, he tried just about everything because he adapted to the players he had. Okay, let's forget Mourinho. Let's go into Nuno now. Nuno is not much to talk about. He was kind of forced to change from his 3 at the back, because I don't think he even tried a 3 at the back at Tottenham, to a 4-3-3. And also with the players he had, maybe that was the reason why he changed to a 4-3-3, because we didn't exactly have wing backs apart from maybe Doherty, who we didn't actually use, surprisingly, Nuno. And maybe that's shown further down the line that Doherty wasn't the level of play we actually really needed. So we move on to him. And now we've got Conte. So Conte has done a 3-4-3 / 3-5-2 in some instances, 99% of the time. The only time he ever changed to a 4 was when we had injuries, and he was kind of forced to play a 4 because he didn't have enough centre halves to fill those slots. So we played 4-4-2 against Chelsea twice last season, and okay, so we lost those games. But if you look back at all these previous managers compared to Conte, they all adapted to the players they had, or adapted to even the style to the players they had. Conte does not want to do that, and even with in terms of like club signings, previous managers used club signings. Conte didn't, and he won't. Obviously, Jed Spence's gone out on loan now, but Conte, okay, we say stubborn, but the difference between him and previous managers, he's sticking to his guns. He's sticking to his style, whether we like it or not. He's sticking to this, obviously, like deep playing on the counter, and of course he doesn't have. You could say he doesn't have a player for it, but he's just basically telling the board, you either buy players for my style, or it's just not going to work. And that's why, obviously, we all thought Conte was going to stand up to Levy, and maybe he kind of sort of is, because he's sticking to his style and not conforming to what Levy's given him in terms of Spence and players like that. But, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Conte is very different to other Spurs managers. He's very, okay, you can say he's stubborn. He is stubborn. But it's because he won't refuse to play club signings, and he wants to play his style regardless of what he has. And he'll do, Obviously, he used the players that he thinks are suited to his style the most. Obviously, you're gonna have to play a right back, a right wing back, and Emerson, and obviously you've got Porro now. But Perisic obviously suited his system. But that's the difference. Every Spurs manager before Conte adapted to the players he had, but Conte won't, and that should be a good thing for us in some sense because finally we have a manager who hasn't. Okay, people would argue Conte might not be here next season, and he might not. But for me, that's a very big difference between Conte's time at Tottenham and other previous managers. He hasn't adapted to the players he had, which is good and bad, however you want to put it. And he's not, and he doesn't use club signings. So that's why Jess Spence ain't getting the game. I mean, like I said, Nkudu and Sissoko were club signings, I think, under Pochettino, and they'll both use, especially Nkudu was a club signing, 100%. And Conte won't do that. But that's why, obviously, we're suffering because we don't have the players to play to the system. But at the same time, he has to do this in his head because if he doesn't and starts playing club signings and starts changing the style, that Levy won't conform to what he wants. If you think about it, right? Whether he does or not, whether you get Pochettino or not, that's for me the main difference. Because when Pochettino comes back, which I think is almost a guarantee, we're going to relive the same cycle again. And I think Poch, the difference with him is that he would use club signings and maybe change the systems, whether it's to our benefit or to not our benefit, regardless. Because I think Conte could have won something at Tottenham with the right players. I think any manager could have, and I don't think Pochettino will. And I'll do another video on Pochettino when he comes back because I have some words about that. And yeah, so Conte, that's the way he's different. He doesn't adapt to what he has, and he refuses to change the style because that's how he wants to play it. I mean, can you blame him? He's won a trophy at every single club he's been to, pretty much, apart from us. Like Mourinho before him, won every single trophy he's been at, apart from us. So why should he change his system when it's worked everywhere else and he's given the players to fit the system? Like I said, Conte is very different from other Spurs managers, and this is why.